Hello there, welcome at Flokeo's video. My name is Alvin and this is my colleague
I am
Isabel.
Isabel and we are here in the island of Menorca. That is a beautiful island in the Mediterranean Sea, and today we are going to show you Ciutadella. As you can see just behind us, you have a very ancient city.
Yes.
It got a very old soul, and we are going to discover why nowadays the architecture that we can see is not so old as its soul.
So, we are standing at an old bastion, just like you can see here at the harbor, very cozy harbor with a tall house of the British with a reddish color, 18th century, where the cars are parked at the end. That's where the night games take place during the St. John Festival, which this year unfortunately couldn't take place. And you see another bastion of the 17th century at the background.
So here we are, both of us, and now we are going to start our tour during this fantastic day in August. It is a little bit hot, but not so hot. So.
Okay, are we live? Good. Isabel, I would like to show the capers. Can we?
Yes, let's go to see the capers.
It's a caper bush. So, you know capers? You put them in vinegar with salt and then you can eat them with the salad. It's the flower bud before it becomes a flower. Yeah? And here they grow for free. There you are. Huh?
Very good with the vinegar and salt, put in a salad, also in pasta.
So, now we are behind the town hall and we're going towards the historic center of Ciutadella. It is a bit difficult, the pronunciation. You can also say Ciutadella. This would be in Castilian and in Spanish. Ciutadella Menorcan, which is a kind of dialect of Catalan, to make it not too complicated. Okay, there are around 29,000 people living in the former capital of Menorca. This has been the island's capital for more than 7 centuries. Nowadays it is Mahon, which is at the other side of the island. We are at the western side of Menorca. And it has a precious historic center which is protected like one big monument, full of palaces, historical buildings, the cathedral. And that's where we want to show you around today. So, Menorca is a reserve of the biosphere, which means all the island is protected for the good equilibrium between man and nature. But there are many things to see, apart from, for example, fortresses and prehistoric, unique sites and monuments. We have also this beautiful historic center. In front of us, we have a big obelisk, and the market, of course. The obelisk was erected middle of the 19th century to commemorate the heroic resistance of the islanders when the Ottomans came. We could say the Turks, to make it not too complicated. The biggest disaster of the island's history. But they were very brave. And although there were only around 600 soldiers, but to fight an invasion of around 15,000 Ottoman troops, 140 ships, well, at the end there was no way to stop them. So, to commemorate the brave resistance of the islanders, we have this obelisk. And every year they read at the town hall. Can we see the town hall, Isabel?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. The Act of Constantinople, and we commemorate what happened in those tragic days. So, this was in 1558.
Okay, so I'm going to explain something about that, please.
Okay, then.
The camera. So, that fact that Alvin explained is going to be a before and an after for this city. So, however, that city, as I said, it is very old in terms of soul. Well, it is stand up, is from the 17th century, 18th century, and 19th century. So what we are going to do today is show you the city, a little bit the history, how the locals are living here in Ciutadella. We will speak about the festivals also, and then also we are going to show you the nice places to hang around, like the nice shops, the artisans, the market, all that kind of stuff that all travelers love, okay? So what we are going to do now is get deeper in the city center to enjoy the city together, and we hope someday you will come and you will do it yourself. That is just a little bite of what can be a full experience.
Or guided by us, of course.
Of course. Do you want to add something?
Yes, please.
Alvin?
Yes, can I?
Yes.
So, what we see here in the background, these historical buildings and palaces, stately homes. This is a result of the reconstruction of the whole city as it was destroyed by the Ottomans in the 16th century. So everything you can see was built from 17th century onwards, as Isabel said. So the noble families, which until then had lived on their plots of land outside the city walls, started to build their city palaces, which was more secure and more practical, of course. And talking about practical, well, these are very big houses. So below sometimes there are shops, and the owners still use a part of it. But well, you know, if you start cleaning, once you're finished, you can start over again. So that's why some of them have been turned into museums.
Okay, so let's go in.
On the left hand side, Isabel, we see the theater in neoclassical style, just like these historical buildings. The one here in front of the Count of Torresaura, of the Salard family. Then more to the right, Isabel, we see British colonial style, red, white and green. You see the St. Francis Church. Although there is more British influence in Mahon, also here we can notice some examples. We'll explain later more about that. This is the central axe of Ciutadella.
Okay, so I would like to add something. Okay.
There we go.
So well, we put the eye a little bit in one of the aspects that happened here, that is the Ottoman attack. However, this place got different names and different cultures came to this city. So we need to go backwards. When the first human beings come to the island of Menorca is about 4,200 years ago. Then here they will develop their own civilization or culture that we call it Talaiotic culture. Then after nearly 2,000 years, the Romans will reach the island. And here we'll have a Ciutadella Romana. The Ciutadella Romana will occupy just part of what it is the city nowadays. And the name was Iamo. That one was the first name of this city. Then also Christianity reached the island of Menorca, and we got a bishop here about, let's say, 6th century after Christ. Also will come people like the Visigoths, will come people from other cultures, but from Islamic zones will come also the Arabians. And this city is going to be Arabian for nearly 400 years. And the name, the second name of the city is Medina Minorca. That is going to be the second name of Ciutadella. So on 1287, the island is going to be reconquered by people coming from Aragona Kingdom. And the Muslims will be kicked out and the island repopulated by these people. So that's why here we speak a dialect of Catalan, because from that zone of Aragona, people was coming from Catalonia. And from this point, we will have the third name of the city, that is going to be Ciutadella de Menorca. That is the one that we are using nowadays. Why Ciutadella? Because it is a city surrounded by a wall, or it was, because since 19th century, we don't have so much from that wall. Before, we were in a bastion. That was part of that wall that was surrounding the city. And now let's go to discover the city itself. I think you have a good summit of what is the history of the place. Okay?
Yes, good summary. Okay. So, as my colleague Isabel explained, although we are not in Catalonia, we do speak a dialect of Catalan. Now, the material...
Well, we speak two languages. We are bilingual.
Yeah, bilingual, that's for sure. Well, you speak many more languages, Isabel.
Yeah, well...
Don't be so modest. Now, you see that almost all structures, all buildings on Menorca are made of the same material. We call it mares. Mar, sea, it comes from the sea. It's a kind of limestone. Only the palaces had a better quality than more humble houses. Although it's a porous stone, they didn't need to whitewash them like many farmhouses, for example. Although it is not very, very strong, it is porous and the elements do eat it. This example here, the side entrance of the Salort Palace, which can be visited. So the owners, they still use part of it, and the other half is a museum, and below there is a bar.
I'm going to go closer so we can see a little bit how it looks like.
Yes, that is typical for Menorcan stately homes. You don't see the courtyard directly, it's behind. What you see directly is the central staircase, which leads to the noble floor.
Well, of course, nowadays it become kind of place to be, and in the night time you can have a drink, or you have the possibility to have dinner here, and it's a very beautiful scenery, especially if you come for a romantic night. And here we have a very special face that maybe Alvin wants to explain us.
For example, yes, you see the face of a woman, her eyes are covered by a veil. Well, it seems that's an old symbol for hospitality. So, rich or poor, whoever you are, you're welcome here. Now, what about the door knocker? This is a kind of fish and a harlequin. So, this could be interpreted like the fish being Christianity, knocking on the harlequin, which represents the sin. And also, a typical element of British influence in local architecture are the brass latches. You have to keep on pushing to open the door. Brass contains copper. Copper is antibacterial. Very clever of these British guys. We can use this nowadays.
Yes, of course. Okay, so...
Shall we go to the cathedral?
Shall we go to the cathedral? But I would like to say something else.
Of course.
Okay. Sorry for that. Here we are. As Alvin said, he said something about the British, and somebody can think, what about the British? Well, the thing is, during the 18th century, the island will be British for nearly 50 years. Then we will be French for nearly 7. Then we will be British again. Then we will be Spanish for a while. British a third time. And at the end, we will be given back to the Spanish crown. Why we are on the hands of all these big countries? Because of the harbor of Mahon, that is not here. It's in the other side of the island, and is the biggest and largest natural harbor in Europe. And it is said that it's the second in the world. What happened on that period? What happens is that the city of Mahon is going to become the capital instead of Ciutadella. So those two cities, we can say that they are kind of rivals, but not so much nowadays. But they have very different souls. Here we have the city of the aristocracy, we can say, and there are more the bourgeoisie. And that is important to explain it because some of the elements in architecture terms are influenced by this period, as can be the shutters, the green on the shutters, for instance, the sash windows that you can see here, the handle that Alvin showed you before, and items like this. So we are influenced by different cultures. The island is small, people come for the beach, but we have a lot of history here. If you give it to me.
Okay.
So do you want to show the cheese?
Well, for example, unfortunately, I could taste it for you, but you wouldn't be able to taste it. This is also interesting. This is this. These are called ensaimadas. They are a kind of spiral-shaped pastry, and they can be filled with cream, pumpkin cream, for example, chocolate, sobrasade, everything is possible. They're very popular. And here below we see example of Menorcan cheese.
Yes, very, very yummy.
It has a denomination of origin state. It's a protected cheese, it's cow milk cheese. You have, well, the mild one is like a Gouda, Dutch Gouda, and the mature one, which is more like Italian Parmesan cheese.
Okay, so as you can see, in that city, in that street, we have a lot of shopping. Well, it is a very flat city, so it is very easy for walkers to walk.
It's all pedestrianized. It's very cozy. It's like the harbor also. And now, Isabel, we are already seeing the cathedral. The cathedral of the 14th century. This is actually the only building that survived the Ottoman invasion. They destroyed everything, but this was a little bit too big to destroy. They damaged it, but they didn't manage to destroy it. Luckily, it was built in Catalan Gothic style, which means, well, it's not as vertical as we know it from the north of Europe and north of Spain, for example. And a single nave, very wide, but only one nave inside. Okay.
So what we are going to do is now, we have seen part of the city, but we would like to show you much more. So we will go into the narrow streets where the villagers live, and then we will be back to that zone that is a little bit more crowded with more shopping and the market. But also we want to show you how quiet can be a place like this.
So, yes.
Here we have a very, very nice lady that is working in this beautiful palace.
Which is also a museum, can be visited.
Yes, the name is Casa Olivar, and it is amazing.
Yes, really worthwhile.
Yeah. As I said, the city of Ciutadella is an aristocratic city, so it is a must to visit one of the palaces.
Yeah. And the owners, they still live here also. Now, Isabel, something about the main entrance here of the cathedral.
Yes.
You see there is a double entrance. You see the original Gothic entrance. But end of the 18th century, the cathedral was, well, the church was declared a cathedral, and the bishop decided, beginning of the 19th century, that a new entrance had to be built in front to celebrate this. He preferred, let's say, neoclassical style. And that is why a new entrance was put in this style in front of the original Gothic gate, which was covered until recently.
Okay,
yeah?
So as you can see, I give it to you. Okay, so a building like this is the only one left from the 14th century, because they couldn't destroy it. The Ottomans couldn't destroy it. So what happened here? That we have a kind of mirror where we can see the different tastes in terms of art, because we have different interventions from different periods. So the gargoyles are from the 20th century or 21st century. That entrance, as Alvin said, is from the 19th century. The big part of the building is from the 14th century. But the oldest part of this building is what it was the minaret, because here it was also the mosque. So the bell tower actually is what is remaining from the Arabian period, and instead of steps, it got ramps. That's why we know that was a minaret.
Can I say something about this?
Yes, sure.
Well, that's funny, you know, because, well, there are not much leftovers of this Arab mosque. But, well, you know, the Arabs, they have to call for prayer 5 times a day. And that's very tiring. And that's why they went on top of a donkey. But the donkeys don't like steps. And that's why, in the minaret, a spiral-shaped ramp was created instead of steps. So, although we have the bell tower of the cathedral, it was before the minaret, and inside you can see the proof.
Okay, I would like to show one thing to the people. If you take the mobile the other way.
Oops, sorry.
Sorry about that.
So here we are again.
Sorry
for that.
We pushed the wrong button. Okay, so I want to show you the map of the city, so you can see more or less where we are. Okay, that is the cathedral. We were coming from that zone. This is supposed to be the wall that nowadays is an avenue. Here is the harbor, okay? And what we are going to do is go to that zone of the city. This part more or less was the Roman city, and a little bit bigger was the Muslim city. So we are going to scroll into the narrow streets of the medieval part of Ciutadella. So let's go that way.
Okay. Can I say something, Isabel?
Yes.
Okay. Well, first there was a question of one of our followers asking what's the size of Menorca compared to Mallorca? Well, that's very easy. Mallorca is more than 5 times bigger compared to Menorca. But Menorca is, apart from a biosphere reserve, the greenest island of the Balearics, and for example, it has the biggest concentration of prehistoric monuments of Europe. Isabel, I would like to show them the courtyard of the Bishop's Palace.
Of course, it's a very beautiful corner. Let's go. Let's go in.
So, there was already a bishop in the 5th century, as Isabel mentioned before. You can see a bust up there representing this bishop of the 5th century, Severo. After that the Muslim came, the Arabs, well, there was no bishop anymore, of course. And it took them until the end of the 18th century to be declared bishopcy again. So Bahon was already capital. The British decided this because they were interested in the port over there. This is a very cozy port, you see there, but it's small, not for big sailing ships. And the consolation prize was that Ciutadella could remain bishopcy, the cathedral, for historical reasons. So the bishop actually lives here.
Yes, I'm going to show you the house. That is where he is living. And it's a good match because that is where he's working. Huh? Very close,
Not
one
bad.
thing to the other.
So in theory, if you go up the stairs and you knock on the door on the left, well, you can ask for an audience. Huh?
Yes. Okay, so let's go to see where the normal villagers live. Huh?
Yes, I would like to say something about Farragut, if possible.
Okay.
So, there was a son of a Menorcan immigrant called Farragut, and he came to visit his father's hometown in the 18th century. The Americans have 2 reasons to visit Menorca each year. One, they had the first naval base in the Mediterranean, Harbour of Mahon, so they have a naval cemetery, and here in Ciutadella is the bust of David Glasgow Farragut, because he was the first admiral of the US Navy, son of a Menorcan immigrant. So the Americans, apart from laying flowers at his bust, they come to this house here in front, Kea, because that's where he stayed for 3 nights. So they believe, the American officers, if they touch the wood of the bed where he slept, they might make it an admiral also one day.
Oh, that is a good
There you go.
anecdote, no?
Yes.
Kind of legend.
Yes. But I also think it's funny, Isabel, that many houses, most houses here, they don't have a letterbox. No letterbox.
And that is funny.
Well, we use your letterbox. I think it's
Maybe
funny.
it's
I don't
strange.
know what the viewers think. So you have to be creative if you're the postman.
Yeah, that's true.
It's for historical, aesthetical reasons. It's not forbidden. Some houses do have, but here they have. That is the electricity meter here, and that's water supply.
Yes. Okay.
Shall I take over,
A
Isabel?
lot of details, yes. And now I'm going to explain you something about traditions. So if you take the mobile,
Very carefully.
very carefully.
I don't want to screw up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Passa.
So, okay, we go through those streets and we will do an exercise of imagination. Just think about 23rd and 24th of June. Here we celebrate a very, very big festival where about 170 cavaliers and horses participate. Since medieval times, we celebrate those festivals, and you must imagine, or you should imagine, those horses and cavaliers going around and around through those narrow streets.
It's covered with sand.
Yes, covered with sand, and they jump. The horses jump on top of the backwaters, And it is the time where we celebrate life, where we meet friends and family, where we prepare some nice food. And also we open the homes to receive friends and family. But come, in these narrow streets, just imagine the horses coming in and out of the houses.
That's a very big honor.
Yes, but also a little bit risky, by the way, but they do. And it is very impressive to see all the horses, black horses coming in and out,
Yes.
in and out, in and out.
Menorca
All these homes.
has her own horse breed. Beautiful black horses.
So we will do that. That is streets.
Although other horses can also participate, other breeds, we're no racists here. Eh?
And we will just chill a little bit and relax and enjoy the way. If we turn the camera over there, you can see the top of the bell tower. That is a very nice scenic photograph.
It's true, it's true.
One of the ones I like to do when
yeah.
I go through these streets.
I'll come back later for that.
Let's go a little bit deeper in that city. So as you can see, people live very relaxed. In evening time, sometimes they come out with some chairs to take some fresh air, because actually it is a little bit hot those days.
Yes. And Isabel, most of
very
the...
safe.
Yes.
That zone.
That in this case. And most of these houses, they do have a patio, a courtyard.
Yes, all of them.
Yeah.
All of them, they have a little patio.
So also when they look a bit close from the outside, they do have their courtyard where they can sit and enjoy the weather.
If we want to explore a little bit more about the festivals that I was explaining, to be more precise, why we celebrate these festivals here in that city? Well, we go backwards, and when the Christianity come again during the 14th century, outside of the city, we have a kind of a small chapel related to Saint John. That is Saint John Festival. So it's related to Saint John. So with that horses and the cavaliers were going to that chapel that is about 6 kilometers away. That's why they were introducing the horse, because it was a long way. And then they were going around and around the city asking for money to celebrate the festival. Nowadays, when we come on the 23rd and 24th of June, what we represent through those horses and cavaliers is a medieval society, where we have a noble, an aristocrat, that is going to be the one that somehow is in the highest level of the group. Then we have another one that is a priest, that is going to represent the
clergy,
Catholic chapel, the religion. Then is going to be another one that is
the artisans.
It's representing the married people. Another one, the single. Those can be an artisan, or can be also a farmer. And then another one that is going with a donkey, with a drum, and also a flute. And this one is going with this sound to announce that the horses are going through the streets. And then the rest all work the fields. That's why we say that we represent a medieval society.
Yes. So this man with the flute goes something like this, Isabel. Sometimes.
No, not like this.
Well, yes. She lives here. She knows better how the melody goes.
Something like this. But I'm not good in that. With drums I can do something, but with notes, with sounds, I am not so good. Okay, so we will reach now a monastery in a while.
Oh, yes.
And Alvin is going to explain us the monastery.
Okay.
And then we will get into the zone of the markets.
So we'll see the convent of the Clarice nuns. You know that the Clarice nuns have a tradition also in other countries. So if you're preparing a wedding for your daughter, your son, and you want to have a perfect day, just like today, All what you need to do is to take a dozen of eggs to the Clarice nuns. They bake cookies with them, and they promise you the most perfect day for the wedding.
I want to add something to this information, because the other day I was speaking with the nuns, and the thing is, the nuns in our monastery, they are a little bit more modern maybe, and in the rest of Spain we do that, but here in Menorca they accept the eggs, but they say that they cannot do magic. So what they do is pray for a good life for the couple, is what they can do.
Okay.
Is what she said.
There are some other stories about these nuns. I would like to explain you. There is a happy story and a sad story.
Okay.
First, a sad story. Isabel? Now, in the 16th century, it was common for noble families to prepare their eldest daughter to go into convent. Now, one of these families had a very beautiful daughter in full preparation, but they had also an Ottoman servant. And of course, he fell in love with her. But what could he do? It was a difficult match. He got rejected by her. And of course, as a proud Ottoman, he couldn't handle this. So he fled. But he said, I'll be back. I'll have my revenge. So when the Ottomans came to sack the city, he was one of them. And he made sure that the daughter, which had already become the abbess of the convent we're about to see, that she was tortured and hung. I told you, sad story. Huh? Now, a happy story would be in the 18th century, while there were British soldiers here, doing their rounds here, and sometimes they got a bit bored. Now, so they passed the convent. And the convent, well, they are recluse nuns, but they do exchange cookies and things, and they do have a place we can talk to them. So, there were two of these nuns called Margaret. They started flirting with some of these British soldiers. Because you have to imagine, the nuns over there, well, they were not all 100% happy of having to stay there. Not 100% convinced, all of them. Some of them were also very young, and some of them were very pretty. Now, so there was a kind of platonic relation developing between two of the nuns, and both called Margaret, and two British soldiers. But there was a third nun, also called Margaret. Was a very popular name in those days. And she said, I won't say anything to the abbess, but therefore I know what you are planning. I want to escape with you. So one night, with British help of the soldiers, they escaped, the three nuns. It was a huge scandal. Imagine, in those days. It was even the British newspapers, the neighbors, they knew what to quarrel about. The family members, they didn't know where to look. They were so ashamed. Now, the church was very aggravated. But they said, well, what can we do? They don't want to go back. Well, the house where they were staying, the sisters, the priest, local priest, made sure that their bedroom doors were sealed every night to avoid sin. You know what I mean? But at the end, well, they all left. The third sister also found a boyfriend. Was not so difficult in those days. And well, they all went to England, and they lived there happily ever after. They had children. Now the funny thing is, not so long ago, there was a lady of England that came to visit the island. She came to Ciutadella to visit the convent, and she said, one of my ancestors is one of the three Margarets. It's a real story.
It's a real story.
Yes.
Well, it's a good story.
There you go. Huh?
Okay, so what we are going to do now, that is the monastery which one we were speaking about, and now we are going to go through a very nice street to finish our tour, because, well, time goes by. So we go through this beautiful street with nice shops. As I said, there are some shops that are so beautiful.
That is the good thing here. You don't see the same shops like in the big cities.
No.
Mango, Benetton,
well, we see them, but we have other choices also.
Yeah. Nice boutiques, everything done with taste. And also the houses, different colors. It's typical Mediterranean. It's very different to my home, which has more a British influence in architecture, mentality, because of change of capital. And Ciutadella, when the British changed the capital, kept hanging in the past, and that's why it has more Menorcan, Mediterranean, Spanish look with Arab and medieval elements.
Good. So, slowly we will reach the other zone of the city.
We are about to see the sculpture of the ram sculpture. We'll show you in a moment. And this has to do with the feast of Saint John. The feast Isabel was talking about. The feast with the dancing horses, high school movement, Menorcan dressage. But also before the feast really starts, St. John's Day, the 23rd of June, the weekend before, there's a local farmer with a ram. They have to practice a lot.
Okay, I'm going to show you one thing. Well, for those that are lovers of good food, we also have restaurants of slow food. We somehow try to support all the local producers and to buy the things that they are producing as vegetables, fruits, meat. And we are working very hard to be part of the spots in the Mediterranean or spots in Europe to eat well.
And ecological.
And ecological, yes. We are working hard on that. And also I would like to show you another thing. Another thing that I love very much of this city is that they are quite open mind. If you take it, yes. Quite open mind to leave spaces for the artists to express themselves. So actually this year we have 24 spots in the city that you can do a tour around those spots where you can see some art like this, that we call it a street art. And it is now the eighth year that we are doing this. So you can see those paintings during the summer. In October, they repaint on top to be ready for the next year, paint it again, to express themselves again. And I like that very much. The street art. So we go that way.
So now we are about to arrive at the ram statue. Well, it's a small sculpture, to be honest. So this man, he has to practice a lot because before the feast of St. John, at Saturday you can see the ram in his house. Washed several occasions, combed, decorated, and 24 hours long the ram cannot eat, sleep or drink. So why? Why? Because on Sunday, Ram Sunday, this farmer goes clothed like Saint John the Baptist, barefoot, clothed in a sheepskin, with his living, sleeping, and hopefully not peeing ram on his shoulders. He has to invite the horsemen personally. It can be until 180 different horsemen, so it's very tiring, but it's a great honor.
Okay, so here you have the sculpture representing that fact, and well, it is an interesting thing to see also in the city, very special, unique. As Alvin said, it's a parallelism with the figure of Saint John Baptist, because he was a shepherd, okay? And here, what we have is Ses Valtas. Ses Valtas actually is the main street of the city center, where you see more people coming up and down, and also is where you have more shopping. And centuries ago, what we got here were the vegetables. It was a market of vegetables and fruits. But actually, this market is moved somewhere else, where we have the fish and the meat. And now we go in that direction, that way, through what I say nowadays is one of the Bohemian streets.
Okay. Shall we mention the church on the left, Isabel?
I do want.
Well, it has a very nice Baroque facade, as you can see. And you can take a look here. And whilst we walk, I can explain just 30 seconds about it.
Yes.
Well, this church is very small, as you can see. Well, it's because in the 17th century there was a procession asking for rain with the Christ figure. Now, thanks to the Christ figure, at the end it started raining. It was a miracle. And afterwards, the Christ figure sweated in 5 occasions. It was a miracle. So, the wool weavers were so grateful that in this case, out of old ruinous house, they created a little church extra for this miraculous Christ figure.
Okay.
It's the Church of the Holy Christ figure.
Okay. So we are going to mix some ancient information, old culture, and also some bright new culture. So in that street, we have different things that I find very interesting. I give it that to you. Here is the art school. This is the art school. And today in this art school, we have a very interesting exhibition of one item that, believe it or not, we don't know why those chairs were used by Hollywood for the directors. But these chairs that you can see here and inside are local chairs. It's a local invention. We call them Cocarrosa, and it's 100 years that we are doing them here in the island. Especially the first person that did them was a citizen of Ciutadella.
Actually, you will see
You
that.
will see them everywhere.
Yes, all bars have this kind of chairs. No plastic chairs, forbidden. So much more beautiful, practical, and comfortable.
And also, you can have a lot of them in your home.
Yes, you can fold them.
You can fold them.
You see another church, which is not a church anymore. It was a church and the convent of the Augustines. You see a kind of violent virgin up there with the club in her hand to punish the devil. Quite curious.
And in that street, we have ateliers. We have also people doing jewelry.
Isabel, you can see here up there is the guild of the tailors, which was represented there with the scissors. You can see that.
Okay. Somebody asked which is the most representative craft of the island. One of the things that we do, but it's not exactly craft, because we use them, are the shoes, the kind of shoes that were invented by the farmers at the beginning, because they were recycling the tires of the cars. Is one shoe that nowadays we export it everywhere in the world, but it is a local shoe. That is a local craft.
Yes, and not only worn by farmers, but also by elegant women, as you can see.
Yes, like my friends also. Okay, so here we have a little bit of art, as you can see. Pedrin is the name.
Yes, he's from Malaga.
He's from Malaga, but he is related with the city also. He got in love with this place and he got
Who wouldn't?
the shop here. Then also we have artisans of the fashion jewelry and also silver jewelry, as you can see here. And in that street,
Hola, bom dia.
one of the other one, you have examples of creativity, and we like a lot creativity. So here more, it's some bags and things like that, leather. Also we have been good in leather, we were good doing shoes, fashion jewelry, cheese, of course. Also local sausages that we will see now in the market. And again, more special jewelry here. Hola, guapa. And now we go to the market that way.
Yes. Can I show the two
Yes.
bell towers there?
Okay.
I don't know if you can see them, Isabel.
Yes.
From there. So that's the Church of the Augustinians, which now forms part of the museum. They're very beautiful. Also, you see this palace here, built between the 17th and 19th century. And well, the owners live on the mainland, so there are several houses, and you could say that this is only for the weekends.
Only for it's
Seven
not
balconies.
7 balconies only used for the weekends. What do you think about that? In summertime. Okay, I must to say that here in the city of Ciutadella, we find more than 30 aristocratic homes. That's why it's a monumental city. Even it is a small city, it is a very interesting city.
Some nice street art there also.
Yeah, here again, some more art.
This still forms part of the former Augustinian convent.
Capilla Sixtina, no?
Yes, 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 like Michelangelo, no?
So,
The hand of God.
and we are nearly to finish the tour. And we hope you enjoy the visit with us. And we wait for your visit
Yes.
here.
So Isabel, they asked us about local production, eh? So we should mention the gin, of course, the gin with lemonade. It's very important. All kinds of sweets.
We do
yes.
wine. We do local beer. We have also chamomile.
Yeah, the Menorcan chamomile, which is different.
Chamomile. We do liqueurs also, herbs.
Yes.
We do a lot of stuff.
Yes, yes.
We have a little bit of everything and not too much of anything.
Yes. And the island is also known for its lobster stew, red spiny lobster stew.
Now we'll see the fish market.
Yes, and also talk about the local shoes. We have these typical Menorcan shoes, sandals, abarcas, but also more highbrow, more elegant brands, even more expensive also. Consquintana, sold all over the world, but made in Menorca,
yes.
not in China.
So that is the market.
Very beautiful, very old. There are still 5 butchers active.
And it's one of the places to meet up in the winter time and also in the summertime. So if you like fresh fish or fresh meat, local, here is the place. Here is the place to come and buy. And if you don't have a kitchen to cook the fish, don't worry. In those bars they cook it for you. So you can still buy and then take the food, fresh food, in the restaurants nearby.
Yes, this was before part of the convent, this market, but well, as it says up there, 1868, part of the convent was turned to a marketplace. So just like in Mahon, you have the meat, the cheese in this case, and fish and seafood separated. So it's a very cozy place. It's architecture very nice.
Yes, it's modernism, Art Deco, a little bit of Art Deco. Again, here some art from this year, that is street art, as we said. We hope that this one is going to be just once in our life. This kind of
yes, yes.
That thing is not very comfortable. We hope that in a short time we will pass to another level of actuality. And here, if you want, we show you a little bit of the part of the fish market, and I think that is going to be the end of the tour.
I would like to show this street art lady, just as a last thing. Isabel, what do you think? I like her a lot. Look. Nice, isn't she nice?
Very nice.
Very nice. Shall we wrap it up here at this lady?
I show you Alvin to say bye-bye.
So, this Mario face.
Sorry.
Oh,
now.
Am I there? Okay,
Yes.
this Mario face. So, thank you for watching us. And
yes,
remember,
now.
I'm Alvin, Menorca Private Tours. You can find me on Facebook. Isabel?
And well, both of us, we are very good friends. We do private tours, both of us. The name of my brand is Tours Menorca. You will find us in internet, and we are very happy to have been with you this hour here in Ciutadella. We can show you the rest of the island, but we need a little bit of time to do so.
Yeah, of course. Menorca has a lot to offer, more than you think.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye then.
Thank you so much.
See you next occasion. Bye.